There is a certain charm to DOS-era first-person shooters. You don't have 100 guns with thousands of ways to customize them, experience and prestige levels, friendly partners that communicate only by radio that also somehow always know where you are and what you're doing at all times, and preteens that do nothing but snipe in a corner and call you a hacker, along with using other unsavory language when you kill them. Nah, you just have to worry about finding maybe a few keys, navigating through maze-like areas to find an exit to the next stage, and a small handful of guns or other instruments of destruction to blast the opposition to their doom. So when I saw the trailer and screenshots for the game Wizordum, it immediately brought me back to that nostalgia-ridden era, reminding me of two of my favorites, Heretic and Hexen. So come modern day, when they released the first episode as an early access title on Steam, and I had to get it. I mean, $10 isn't gonna break the bank. I don't normally like to review any early access games as they're typically still in a beta phase and could change dramatically by the time the game gets released. Wizordum, in fact, is estimated for a 2024 release date, so we are a few months out yet. But in any case, I decided to make an exception as Wizordum is a fun throwback to those early FPS games that I love so much. Right from the start, you can see the similarities to Heretic and Hexen. You begin the game with a mace, which can be powered up by grabbing raw mana that is floating around. The first weapon that you'll probably encounter are the flame rings, which allow you to fling balls of fire at your foes. It may not be flashy, but it does the job. Other weapons involve blue spheres that explode after a few seconds, a staff that shoots shards of ice and has a chance of freezing enemies, and a magical shotgun-style firearm that needs to be reloaded after every blast. In order to power these magical tools of destruction, you'll find plenty of items littering the colorful fantasy landscape. Mana chunks, orange balls of fire, ice chunks, and so on can be found. Not only this, but you can also find multiple healing items and coins. The coins are just used for points, which you've probably already figured out is the number at the top of the screen. If you're into this kind of thing, you'll probably want to hunt for every piece of silver on the map, along with killing every foe encountered. If you've watched a few of my other videos, you'll probably remember that I really couldn't give a crap about score and online leaderboards, so as nice as it is to have, it didn't bother me any if I missed a few things. The enemies that you run across fit the fantasy mood perfectly. The first enemy that you see is a simple goblin that's decked out in armor, who simply approaches you and smacks you with a blunt weapon. Actually, come to think of it, there's quite a few varieties of goblins that you encounter. There's also a magician that shoots fire at you as you shoot fire at him. There's a hulking beast that takes more shots than his little brother, but doesn't pose much more of a threat. In addition to these goblins, you'll see bats, skeleton archers, and barrels coated in slime that explode upon defeat, making them possibly the biggest threat in the game. The stages themselves have multiple rooms and corridors, not unlike stages in games like Heretic. You hunt down various keys to open up doors or flip switches to alter the level layout, such as making water fill a room so you can navigate to the island in the middle. You'll probably get lost, but at the press of a key, you can bring up a very helpful map. Not only does it show you the layout of the level, but it will also indicate where any secrets that you found were, along with the blue blip to give you an idea on where you should be heading to next. I've consulted the map multiple times and found it to be immensely useful. There's almost a bit of a roleplay feel to Wizordum, even though there is no actual roleplay element. Yeah, you can't spend the money, but with all of the silver coins to be found, you expect to see a shop somewhere. There are chests that can be opened up to reveal various items. There are also some chests that require a special treasure key to open them. It's just that, a lot of these times once you find the key, you'll forget where all these locked goodies are at. You can also find various other wizards that probably set out on a journey prior to you getting involved, and not doing so well. These corpses can also be searched for random goods. Now, as much as I've really enjoyed playing this early access version of Wizordum, I must admit that there are a few flaws. The first I really noticed is that the weapons, or really the sound effects in general, lack real punch to them. Fireballs striking objects such as walls sound more like a lead balloon popping, if that makes any sense. The mace strikes are lackluster, and even the animation for this looks like he's pulling punches. Compared to Hexen, the cleric beats those dual-headed freaks with a lot more power than your character does in Wizordum. The music? Well, it's not bad, but I can't say for sure if I feel that it really fits the game. It's very fantasy and themed, but I want to say that it belongs more in an RPG than an FPS. But it works, and it's good enough for me to listen to as I'm slaying goblins. Secondly, I entered this bonus stage called the Hunting Grounds. Here I'm attacking these special treasure goblins, which drop items for a few seconds before disappearing unless you can kill them to claim all of their gold. Yet, the game keeps you in this cage. Is there a way to get out of here? I can only imagine that there should be, but I couldn't figure it out. Otherwise, it just kind of feels strange to just lock you in here with the enemies only having a small window to be hurt. I just feel that this can't be right. Third, I had a problem after an update. I had taken a break after playing for a while on the 6th level or so. I quit the game, but came back later that day, several hours later. Noticed that there was a patch. Cool. But now the saved game won't load. I get stuck on this loading screen, which also announced that the dopefish lived. Nice reference there. Anywho, I was stuck on this screen, yet I could hear my gun firing whenever I clicked. And if I hit escape, I could hear the menu popping up, yet I didn't see it. I really didn't want to start over again, so I didn't, and here we are. Here's a little side note. A few days after writing this review, there was another patch where the developers admitted that they didn't foresee any save game issues, so they didn't pay attention to them, and took extra measures to avoid this in the future. This is a good sign, as the developers are paying attention to possible issues and fixing them promptly. In any case, even with these problems, I still had a fun time with Wizordum, and keep in mind, those issues might be fixed once the game is fully released with the remaining episodes. But as I said at the start, even though I don't like reviewing what amounts to be games in beta testing, I had a ton of fun with this one, and wanted to share my thoughts. If you are a fan of DOS-style shooters, you shouldn't pass this one up. I look forward to the full release, and depending on how much gets changed, I may give an update to this review. Only time will tell. Final score? 6 out of 7. This is Reaper. Happy fragging.